Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of Victimhood. Why me? The question that our mind always wants to ask. So, in part 1, we saw about how do we get aware of it as that being, not so much of a how, but as that being a way of creating distance from being the victim. And getting the distance from being the victim means that you have seen yourself do it, and once you've seen yourself do it, you've had your aha moment. So now let's get into the kind of stories that our minds like to say to us so that we have a little bit more familiarity with what it means that our mind wants to play as a victim. Like, what are the stories it says? Sometimes we're not exactly even aware that we're doing this. So I'd like to first just list out the kind of stories that it might tell you so that you get your aha moment as well. Okay, that's what's happening. That's what I'm doing to myself. That's what my mind is doing. That's the state you want to be at. You want to be able to identify it. So some of the most common things that you could have going on inside of yourself in your mind is, couldn't I just have problems like everyone else? Their problems seem to be manageable or not as complicated as mine. Their problems seem to have a rational solution, in my perspective. And while my problem doesn't seem to have much of a solution, like I've got to like kind of figure it out on my own. There's just no easy way around it. There's just, I just don't see light at the end of the tunnel at all with this one. This is one of the most common things that our minds would like to tell us, that our problem is unique, that our problem is in fact unsolvable, and our problem is not what anybody else has. Now, if you are one of these people who is feeling this, that your problem is more grave, more uh, profound, more deep, more unsolvable than that of your neighbor, than that of your colleague, or that of your friends, or that of anybody around you that you know, then rather than laughing over it and trying to shove it down under the carpet, or just delving in it in a state of self-pity, it would be good to actually just look at what makes your problem unique to you, because that's where we want to be at, because that's where we are going to be able to convert this into something spectacular. We'll be covering this in our future episodes. But what makes your problem unique? That is the question that you need to ask. Like, say you're going through depression, say you're going through some financial crisis, say you're going through some loans, say you're going through a place where you just don't know who you are, say you're going through a place of unrelatability with your surroundings, say you're going through a place of problems in relationships where you're just not able to make it happen, you're just not able to click. It could be 1,001 things. But in all of these cases, the most important thing that you need to ask yourself is, no matter how believable and believable your problem looks, the most important question to ask ourselves is, what makes my problem unique? What makes this problem unique to me? And your mind is going to try to give you a rational solution. It is going to say that it is, like, if you say, for example, you're going through depression, it's going to say that, okay, 99% of people have XYZ, and I have something similar, and that's okay. Well, this might calm your nerves down in the moment. It's not exactly a solution. It's not exactly breaking through. It's not exactly a breakthrough, something which you can later make it into your superpower. It's not exactly that. It is just rationalization. It's just your mind telling you that XYZ also have this problem, and it's okay to have this problem. That means you're just sitting on it. You're not doing anything about it. Now, the state of mind that you need to be at, if you want to really cash in on and I'd go on a limb and say monetize your own unique problem. What we need to kind of do is try to spot what makes it so specific and special to you. Why is this so called? Let's just continue with depression. Why is this form of depression that you are primarily facing specific to you? What makes it different from all the other depressed people around the world? While you would, you would probably know it as something like, for some people, it might be, PTSD, like post traumatic, like stress disorder. While it is good to have an idea of what it is, like in a larger term, it is very important to zone in on what makes your PTSD different from somebody else's PTSD. Like somebody else could have been in a war, or could have been in a terrible relationship, could have been in an abusive one, or could have faced horrendous crimes done to them. Now, the idea is not to belittle your problem or make it bigger than somebody else. The idea is to not have another point of reference at all. The idea is to not compare at all. Because that is where you're actually going to find the uniqueness in your problem. So say, for example, you are depressed and you have a certain kind of emotional gravity or baggage, which is the cause that seems to, be highlighted. Say it has to do with as simple as lack of confidence. Let's just say it has to do with lack of confidence. Now, what we need to do here is we need to dive in a little bit more. We need to like zoom into this. We need to zoom in and we need to investigate a little bit more. We need to ask it, okay, lack of what? Confidence. Lack of what? You could just copy paste anything that you want here, lack of a fulfilling relationship, lack of financial stability, lack of abundance. You could just copy paste whatever you want as the problem. Now, again, that problem again is going to be you're going to find 1,000 people who have exactly that as well. Now, that's why we don't stop. We keep going on. Like if it's say lack of confidence, lack of relation or a stable relationship, financial abundance, whatever it is, here again you're going to find 1,000 people. We need to narrow it down till the point that you are the only one with this problem. That is where is the uniqueness in your problem. So we need to keep going down. Let's just go with confidence, lack of confidence. Now, when I start zoning in on it, I'm going to find instances in my mind is going to show me pictures of instances where I didn't have the confidence. Yeah, it's going to show me these instances where somebody laughed at you, where you were ridiculed, where you were, you couldn't do what you wanted to do because you didn't feel confident enough. You didn't feel you had it in yourself. Now, these instances bring immediate depressive thoughts inside of you. They create this emotion. Now, this is the point at which we need to go even deeper, because even now we're kind of saying that this happened to me and hence I feel depressed. This happened to me and hence I do not have confidence. Well, that is not actually true. We are carrying the germ of the lack of, you can copy paste whatever you want, confidence or abundance or anything. We are carrying that germ, and hence these situations, external situations, are actually occurring to us. So we need to go one step more deeper. Lack of, again. Now, instead of, say, confidence, you are going to find something a little bit more insightful. When you start browsing through all these things, you're going to find that it is just maybe lack of, and now I have a bigger term, the inability to be able to execute in the external world what internally I find to be true, or internally I find to be aligned. Internally, I find what I'm here for. Now, the inability to execute it is projected outside as lack of confidence. And then the situations, the social situations occur that somebody makes fun of you, somebody ridicules you, etc. You're not able to do it when it matters. Now, we've already gone quite deep. Now, in this, when you're specifying it to such a degree, when you're saying lack of inability to execute what's inside of me. Now, I can also give you this example for abundance or like financial abundance. It could be like my inability to hold myself in a space of attraction where I'm constantly attracting the kind of abundance and wealth that I need. Are you following? Are you getting where we're coming with this? Now, the more and more we refine this, the less and less crowd there's going to be in this area. There's not going to be 1,000 people with this problem. Now, slowly it's like narrowing down. There's lesser and lesser and lesser people. Now we need to go even deeper so that we find the germ of the uniqueness. We find the germ of what actually creates this. Now, if we go one step deeper again, we are going to go deeper than execution. We are going to go to the germ itself. Now, how when we go to the germ itself, it's not going to look like lack of execution. It is in fact going to look like what are we. Now I'm going to talk about ourselves or us or a person in 2 layers. What are we or me or us? What have we designed for ourselves to come experience at a denser level of reality so that we learn these lessons which show us the skills that we already possess inside our souls, and to bring that to our everyday awakening knowledge so that this denser current reality that we find ourselves in with lack of confidence, abundance, anything, can now ascend and merge with our higher understanding of the fact that we always had this in us. We always had the abundance or the confidence or whatever you want to put it. We always had this. It is just that for it to mature to a level that it solidifies, and that by that I mean it hardens to a point that it is aware that it can exist no matter what the external circumstance. We put ourselves down in a denser reality, went through the lack of confidence, abundance, whatever, so that we ask the question as to why me? Why am I the victim? Why am I suffering? So that we look up to our own higher self. And when we really yearn, when our question is extremely deep, this lowered, denser self of ours comes up and gets the answer from our higher self, gets into a state of self-realization that we, at a higher realm, are the same creators of this whole journey, going from high to low, experiencing a state of being lost, of victimhood, why me, and then looking up for answers, coming up to ourselves, realizing that, oh, we are the ones who created this whole story, so that we solidify within this self-knowledge that we were always abundant, we were always confident, we always had fulfilling relationships, because we had soul connections before we even came down as separate entities. So once we merge these two is when we kind of know that we already have all these things that we are kind of seeking for. And on that note, I would like to stop this so that we proceed in our next video into how do we now, after the self-knowledge, manifest this into a denser everyday reality.